What's up, boys?
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back to episode 8, the Bengal Brothers podcast, live. If you're new to us, thanks for checking us out. And we're live every Tuesday night at 8:30, talking all things Bengals.
Or 8:35.
Or 8:35, it just depends.
Yeah.
I'm the real Reg. It's my brother Bob, brother Ray. What's up, guys?
Oh, just another week of going through the cycles of anger, disappointment, and then by the time Tuesday rolls around, Wednesday, you try to dig yourself back out of it, try to find something to be optimistic about.
The roller coaster of being a Bengals fan,
Man, it is a huge roller coaster.
you know? Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my desk height. How you doing tonight, Ray? Oh, he's muted. I got you. I can't unmute you. You got to mute it.
I thought I'd already unmuted. My bad, bro.
You're good, man.
Nah, just frustration, man. You know?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure Bengal Nation is right there with me.
Yeah, we got a action-packed show tonight. Hopefully we're going to have a lot of foot traffic through across all 3 platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube right now. So if you're new to us, and you're watching the pod in the coming days, make sure you shoot over to one of those platforms. Like us and follow, subscribe, all that jazz.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to interact with the Bengals community, and we want as many people as possible, to interact with us. So let's get it kicked off tonight, boys. Honestly, I figure we would probably start with the offense tonight and go from there. Anybody want to kick us off on thoughts on the Eagles and Bengals game Sunday?
Man, it's a lot.
I know we all got a lot to say. There's an
I
have so much to say about this. And
I know, dude, but I mean,
just try to keep it geared towards
what you say. Not enough time.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, where do you want to start, man? I mean, it's just poor execution, poor fucking play calling. You know, I mean, I agree with Burrow. Everybody needs to take accountability, but come on, man. I mean, at what point is enough enough? How do we put up one of our best games on third down conversions, going like 10 for 13? You know, not punting the football again at all. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing? You know, like I told you guys, man, previous podcast, man, like, you know, the goal was to get to 500 before we lose another game. And then if we lost another game before we got to 500, I mean, you see it all over social media the past 2 days. I mean, fans are going fucking crazy, man, you know?
I don't think fans are going just crazy right now. I think fans are losing their mind.
Pissed off.
How they were about 4 weeks ago. You know, I think like just as an overall, like offensively in this game, I think it's been pretty much on par we've seen most of the year. They've had some games where they've been elite, and they've had some games where they go away for stretches. This game had a little bit of both. There was times where the offense looked like a Burrow-led Jamar Chase charging offense that can
the
score
first
on
drive,
anybody.
the first drive,
and there's times where the offense looks like Burrow's fighting for his life every play. And I think that, which we're going to get into at some point, I think Burrow has a big part in this offense and in the play calling from down to down. And I think that, I don't know. I think they got.
I would agree with you on first and second downs.
Yeah.
But I think on those crucial downs where it's third down or God forbid we're going for it on fourth down, you know, that's Zach Taylor making that play call.
Oh, for sure. And the big 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 you're talking about in this game that I think that's been on everybody's Bengals mind. Zach has already said he called that play, and it was a design play, and that was the read that was supposed to be for that play, and then Burrow threw the ball to Chase. I mean, it was.
I think he said it was the game plan, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, you know, he's resorting to his chart that's in his head or in his hand that calls for this play on this down. But you know, again, that's my problem. If that's your game plan, you know, I mean, I think you need to reevaluate it, Zach, because at the end of the day, man, like, what the fuck are we doing? You got to tell me Joe Burrow on that 3rd and 1 can't get it? And, again, if he doesn't get it, you get right back on the ball and you do the exact same play, man. Because, again, at the end of the day, like this, Jalen Hurts standing next to Joe Burrow, you size difference. You can't tell me Joe can't pick up, moving the pile with his power. I mean, I'm just not buying it, dude. Again,
I mean, Jalen's a pretty freak specimen himself, but no, I agree with you.
I mean, the
Jalen's
minute
like a 600-pound squat guy. I mean, he's built to do that.
The minute all went in motion, we told the Eagles exactly where we were running that football. We were going right through the 5-hole. We told them immediately, and they stuffed it. They absolutely.
And to further your point, you're having a little bit of technical issues. I don't even want to get into the 4th down call, man, because you're cutting in and out pretty bad. But to further your point, I mean, you're good. The 4th and 1 was the same way. I mean, the Jamar Chase motion, all eyes were on Jamar. I mean, all they had to do was follow the motion, and they were running right to the play. We got our first comment on Facebook, Dustin Combs Sr. Cody Ford
ain't it.
This brings up a good point with a side note. Tonight, we're doing a giveaway, free shirt and hat. Anybody who interacts with the podcast, joins the conversation throughout the night on any of the platforms, you're entered to win. And towards the end of the episode, we're going to draw a winner for a free shirt and hat, Bengal Brothers. So, but yeah.
Listen. This offense is it's like a magician is in control of it, and they're one of the best at playing the disappearing act. And a big part of that, which is what we've talked about several times, is especially when T. Higgins isn't on the field, it makes it much worse. This team has nobody for a third. I know they said that they were going to use tight ends and do it by committee. Well, I guess what? That's not happened. That's not worked. This team needs someone to step up to be, that guy that Burrow can go to on a 3rd and 1 at a big part, a 4th and 1 at a big part. And we just don't have it. Let me break some shit down here for you guys and everybody. Tyler Boyd, we're just going to use his last 3 years as a Bengal as being the number 3 wide receiver. He's averaged between 60 and 70 catches a season and between 700 and 800 yards a season. Now, some people will say, well, this year's different. Obviously, we're doing it by committee. But guess what? Our tight ends have averaged over the past 3 years. You see what this is? Our tight ends have averaged anywhere from 39 to 50 catches and 400 to 600 yards. Gesicki this year right now is at 25 catches, 255 yards.
Through half the season.
We're at halfway point. So he's about on par for what our tight ends have produced. Yoshi,
a little ahead, right?
Maybe slightly a little ahead. Yoshi, who
understand that
they've been talking up. But what I'm saying is we don't have a number 3 wide receiver, and it shows because Yoshi has 14 catches on almost 30 targets. That means he's only catching the ball about 50% of the time when he's targeted for 189 yards. That's it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's killing us. It's killing us not having a 3rd wide receiver. And going back to that 3rd and 1 and then the 4th and 1, obviously, Yoshi blew that play for us. I think that was actually the right call in that situation. Rub route. You expect Jamar should be able to get away from one would-be tackler just to get a yard. But see, when you don't have somebody you can trust as a 3rd wide receiver, they do exactly what Yoshi did on that 4th and 1. He didn't go try to make contact. He was like clearing everything out that didn't get cleared out because obviously they knew what we were going to do. You have to go make contact. And this team really needs a 3rd wide receiver, and I don't think this committee shit's working out. And I think that's a big part of the reason why we'll go stretches in games, stretches in the season this year where we haven't, we're disappearing. And it's sad that, as soon as they didn't get that 4th and 1 on Sunday, the game's over. And the players knew it. The Eagles knew it. Everybody watching that game knew it. And you can't have that. I mean, 3rd and 1, you should be doing a quarterback sneak. And I don't care if you're worried about Burrow getting hurt. I would have really liked Taylor to come out in this game and all week practice the tush push, because the Eagles aren't the only fucking team in the NFL that's allowed to do that. Something like that would have been a good opportunity in this game. Let's try something different, try something new. Let's take what the Eagles have been doing and implement it ourselves in this game against them. Didn't happen. I know people are mad at Taylor, and a lot of people have been calling for his job. I'm not on that side of the argument, because you ain't going to do no better than Zach Taylor right now. And for the most part, Zach Taylor has done a good job. But when it comes to the issues, and I guess he's kind of coaching with his hands, handcuffed, because, there is no one else that Burrow probably trusts on this team other than Jamar and T. And then, when T's not on the field, then you have Jamar and a bunch of other guys who probably aren't even, they're not starters on other teams, obviously. I think you need to really, really get Burton some snaps, and you have nothing to lose by doing it.
Yeah, he had one for 41 yards.
Yeah. Well, on the year, he's sitting at. On the year, he's sitting at. He's averaging like 24 yards a catch.
Well, Bob on Facebook said we definitely missed Higgins this game, for sure.
We've missed him a lot of games, Bob.
My thoughts on the offense, to be honest. I want to touch on that, to be honest. But I think the offense sort of signifies. I think it sort of signifies like the way this whole team has been in general, in a way. And I think that you have to tie Zach Taylor to the offense, because he's an offensive-minded coach. He's been the play caller for the entire time here. Right now, we're at a weird flux. We don't really know if Dan Pitcher's calling half the plays or all the plays, or Zach's calling half plays or all the plays. We kind of know Zach's still calling plays. We also know Burrow is calling a lot of the plays on the field. Burrow has as much say in the direction of this offense from down to down and game to game as any piece in this puzzle, right? But I look at Zach and the offense tied together, because I think there's two sides to Zach. And I think both sides sort of get lumped in, justifiably so. I think there's the side of Zach that is a part of the offensive minds in this franchise. And by that, I mean Joe Burrow, Dan Pitcher, Zach Taylor, Frank Pollock, Troy Walters, the offensive coaching staff, their direction week to week, and then the three big ones, Zach, Burrow, and Dan Pitcher. That's the core mind of this offense that's been developing and trying to get better week to week. And half of Zach should be lumped into that group. And the half of Zach that's in that group struggles to call plays in moments that matter, or at least it feels like those are the times, because those are the times you notice it, right? And then I think a big part of that side of Zach also is taken for granted and isn't given the credit or respect he deserves in the consistency of this offense over the past 4 years. The other side of Zach is the head coach, leader of the players, the unit, the actual team itself. And I think that's where the argument can be made, in my opinion, of Zach's downfalls, all of the hate that Zach gets. I personally have been a person who, I've sort of looked like more of a Zach fan than I really am, because I feel like most fans don't watch other teams play. They don't really know that much about football, and they view it from an objective lens of Zach is this one entire piece of the puzzle. And we've talked about it in past years about how, let Brian Callahan call the plays and you focus on being a head coach. Because to me, Zach's downfalls have been in holding the defensive staff accountable, holding players accountable for a lack of execution, But one thing that this offensive staff does is they take accountability, and you can't deny the culture that's there, despite however you feel about wins and losses and things. So I think offensively is really, I think this offense is good enough to win you playoff games when they're playing well. And when
They are.
this offense continues to get better, they're going to be a top 10 unit. Right now, this offense is 11th in points per game, 7th in scoring overall, 7th in passing, and they're in the mid-20s in the run, which we know needs to get better. It was efficient at the beginning of the year, but it's been bad since. Right?
We have no running game.
Chase is first in yards among all receivers and first in touchdowns among all receivers. Burrow's fifth in total passing touchdowns, and 7th in total yards passing. So the offense is literally top 10 in most statistical categories.
Being wasted. They're being wasted.
There's weird dynamic of Bengals fans that because there's play calling issues, and there is, and I'd be the first to step up and say that, this unit can be a lot better. And I'll be the first to step up and say that. But fundamentally, that's not what's holding this team back. Now, that's where the other half of Zach Taylor comes in my opinion, that we have to hold accountable. Just like we need to hold Duke Tobin accountable. Just like we need to hold more of the front office accountable. Just like we need to hold the players more accountable. And that's the half that defense and special teams have been, special teams, specifically punt coverage, has been good this year. And, you know, we have a...
Well, it normally is under Darren Simmons. He's one of the best special teams coaches ever coached.
I mean, this defense, we talked about this off the podcast, only one time this year in 8 games when a moment was in a big moment where the defense had we have to have this play, they've only made that play one time. And every other game, every other down, every other rep, the entire rest of this season, if it's been you got to have it down, they have not made the play. And those handful of plays a game make the game. And that's why the Bengals are 3-5.
Well, I can't help but think it's like a run back scenario. You know, this team made a lot of moves, you know, in 2020 and 2021. You know, they went out, got players. Went out and got like DJ Reader, Trey Hendrickson. You know, they brought talent in here. You know, you picked up Woozier. You know, you had guys at all 3 levels of the defense. You still had Joe Mixon with a running game. You know, you ended up drafting Jamar Chase. You know, they did what it took, and guess what? It took us to a Super Bowl. But it's almost like ever since the Super Bowl season, we have not tried to stay on par with the rest of the elite teams. Instead, you know, you said you couldn't pay Jesse Bates because you had to pay T. Higgins. And guess what? You sent Jesse Bates down the road, and now you're going to send T. Higgins down the road, so you're not going to pay him. You know, they haven't really made the moves that they needed to make, you know, to stay a Super Bowl contending team. I know Zach Moss showed promise in Indianapolis, but guess what? You're in a damn Super Bowl window. You had your chance at Derrick Henry just like Baltimore did. You had your chance at Saquon Barkley just like the Eagles did. And I know this team is one of the biggest problems with reason why people don't like them is because they traditionally don't do shit like that. Well, unfortunately, this is 2024. Everybody around us is making moves except us that want to stay Super Bowl contending teams.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it because right now we're sitting with no third wide receiver. Yeah. We're sitting with no pass rush opposite of Trey Henderson.
And honestly, I think, you know, in getting
our best corners regressed. Our best corner has regressed.
Like, I agree with you. Like, this team needs to make some moves. I also know that they're not going to because that's not what they do. Despite what we may want as fans and as people who invest our time and money into this team want, that's just not what they do. Now, in past 3 or 4 years, they've done some uncharacteristic things that we haven't seen before. But
and it got us to a Super Bowl and an AFC Championship game.
But I disagree in the fact that while I agree with the way one half of analytics look against our third wide receiver situation, you know, you're not the only one out there, Bob. You know, I've seen Joe Goodberry put out videos on third wide receiver production.
The numbers don't lie.
The other one. But my argument to that is the offense is not what's holding this team back. And I think you're dead on. If you want to actually make something of this year and turn it around, you got to make moves before next week. But in my opinion, it's got to be on the defensive side of the ball. You got to
Oh,
go get
it
a D
does.
lineman, specifically a pass rusher. You got to go get a corner. You know, make a move, go spend I think last night it was like 18 something. Don't quote me on that of cap space. You know, you go out and spend 6-7 million and a 5th round pick on a pass rusher like, I don't know, Uche, like the Chiefs just did, and you know, you get someone in the rotation who's gonna do something. The Bengals got 3 pressures on defense on Sunday.
3.
That's not sacks. That's pressures. 3
Right, dude.
fucking pressures on Sunday.
Dude, that's why
he looks different though.
We're fucking absolutely not a Super Bowl contender. And the defense will show you that. I mean, we're allowing over 350 yards passing in the last few games, or whatever it is.
23rd in points per game,
Dude,
19th against the pass, 25th against the run.
to sit and watch Sam Hubbard get locked up by a tight end is embarrassing. I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing. Sheldon Rankins, I thought a few times, wasn't even showing the effort he should have shown. Like, just because he was double teamed, it was like, hey, you know, I'm just, you know, put your fucking hands up at least, dude. Like, I mean, our defense is historically bad. I mean, historically bad. The stat came out this week that opposing teams, you know, are scoring 62% of their drives on our defense. It's coming ended in a score. The average is like 41, 42% in the NFL. I mean, that right there shows you how bad we are. I mean, it's just like, you know, I think Lou Anarumo should be held accountable, Marion Hobby, what is it, Jordan Kovacs, all these guys. And, you know, we've been bad for 2.5 years now, 2 years, whatever it is. You know, I know a lot of people like Lou Anarumo because how we played the Chiefs. He's played a big part in that. But guess what? Everybody around us has been evolving the past 2 years, and we have not. We ran it back. Yeah, we brought back Von Bell. Well, he's benched Sunday for a while. Yeah, he was benched for a while Sunday. So, like, you know, our best corner was Cam Taylor.
Just so I'm hearing this correctly, right? In Bingo Bob's mind, Zach Taylor's not in the hot seat, but Lou is.
Lou, Marion Hobby, Jordan Kofax, all the defensive assistant coaches, and Lou Anarumo are on the hot seat. And I'm telling you, if things don't change, they all better be out the damn door. They better be, because this defense has been bad now for 2.5 years.
So you should share that same opinion with who the play caller is on the offensive side.
No, I shouldn't. That don't make no sense. That makes no sense.
Period.
Really?
The stats are way.
Didn't he just say we're practically top 10 in all offensive stats? What do you fucking mean, dude? This defense is historically bad. It's a story. Sometimes it's like Lou Anarumo don't know what he's doing
on the season.
You know, which I understand.
Zach Taylor as a play caller, not when Joe Burrow checks out of something because he sees something.
Well, actually, I think Zach Taylor has evolved. Zach Taylor has evolved a little bit.
So Lou is missing the same thing Zach is missing, which is an imagination, creativity. They've completely lost that the last 2 years, brother.
No,
if they didn't, like me and Real Reg was talking earlier, a great little sneak play to have in your playbook would be for Eric All to get behind the center and take a direct and follow the center right through the 1 or the 2 hole. Like that's creativity. That's again, and we're missing it from both sides of the ball. So you can't.
Things are pretty cut and dry on defense there, Coach Ray. It's not an offense; it's a defense. And when your players are one of the highest teams in missed tackles, no pressure, getting burnt constantly, getting burnt. Jermaine Pratt, he don't even know what the fuck he's doing half the time out there. All that, and as bad as this defense is playing, it comes down to the coaching that they're receiving, bud. I hate to tell you, it's pretty cut and dry on defense. You're not looking for a bunch of creativity. Your main goals on defense.
That's what I find to be fucking amazing.
Listen, dude, your main goals on defense are pursuit and tackle.
Our defense doesn't have a joke.
Pursuit and tackle. And how much do you see that?
Okay, bro.
If you don't think Lou Anarumo should be on the hot seat, I don't know what games you've been watching
No,
this
I'm
year,
just saying
bud.
you can't put Lou on the hot seat and not put Zach Taylor on the same hot seat.
Yeah, you can, and I just
You can't
did.
do it, bro. No, you
I
can't.
just did.
You can't,
Yep,
bro.
I just did. I just fucking
It
did,
doesn't
dude.
make
The
any
difference
sense.
in
This
the
defense
offense
is
and defense,
historically bad.
But it
The
doesn't
offense
make
is
any
not.
sense.
the difference in the defense and offense is exactly what you said, Bob.
How
The
does that
offense
not
has
make
evolved
sense,
over
dude?
the
What the
past few
fuck are
years.
you watching?
The defense has not.
The defense is historically bad.
Now,
They were bad last year.
The similarities there is
I'm
that
not saying our defense
defensive
is
and
good, bro.
the defensive and offensively, they're both way too conservative. That's the similarity between offense and defense. Zach, justifiably so, coaches do not lose games in big moments. He's very conservative. It's flashbacks of Marvin Lewis.
Dude,
It really is.
our two
the
best
difference
games on
is-
defense were against two of the worst
The
offenses
difference
in
is
football.
the
So-
offense has evolved over the past 3 or 4 years.
They have.
This year, we've seen more two tight end looks, pistol looks.
Under
Burrow's
center.
been more under center this year than
22,
ever has.
12.
Now, I
all of it.
agree. The play calling is bad at times. But
Mhm.
overall, as a system, the system has been a success the past few years. Now, we can sit here and argue. You were having some issues. We were talking about the finalizing the offense. Now, we can go at Zach as being the head coach, because ultimately it falls on his shoulders. And those tough decisions about defensive coaches, about defensive players, Zach has to be able to be a leader for the entire team, not just the offense.
So
Now,
you guys remember last season?
Let me finish though
put
for a
Zach
second.
Taylor
If
in
this
the hot
season
seat, bro,
finishes bad,
for the
if this
same
season
shit, right?
if this season finishes how last year finished, even though Burrow was hurt, then next year Zach is on the hot seat. But the difference is the defense has been bad for 2.5 years. Right now, the offense is 11th in points per game. 11th in points per game. They're 7th in passing, mid-20s against the run. You know, Burrow's 4th in completion percentage. Chase is 1st in yards, 1st in touchdowns. Burrow's 5th in touchdowns, 7th in yards.
Right.
The offense is producing, and they're now given. We can argue they go away for stretches. We can argue that the 3rd and 1 and the 4th and 1 were terrible play calls. I am 100% in agreement with you. But Zach has been a big piece of the puzzle of this team and the turnaround they've had and the success the offense had, which is why you have to put him in two categories. As a head coach, he is objectively not doing well right now because as an overall team, they are not executing.
Well, what plays into that?
Which he is an offensive coach. This team has been consistently, when Burrow's healthy, a top 10 offense in most major categories. The difference is the defense has been bad for 2.5 years. And, you know,
Dude, it's so bad. Our offense would probably be ranked in top 5 and everything, but our defense is so damn bad. These offenses are spending the whole game on the fucking field practically because we can't get a stop on 3rd down.
Right.
We can't get off the damn field to give our team, our offense, back the ball.
Yeah.
Like this defense is bad.
I mean, the
It's
trigger,
fucking
the
embarrassing.
trigger was when Lou got snubbed to be a head coach.
There's a reason why he's not a head coach right now.
He has completely fallen off since that point. He's completely fallen off.
Do you think general managers see something? Or what it is they don't see in him? Because right now they know he can't coach a defense worth a damn, so
honestly,
might
I
have
think
something to
it's
do with
anything.
it.
You know what I think it is? I think he's a defensive coach. Nobody wants to hire defensive coaches anymore. It's
That plays into
NFL.
it.
Everybody wants an offensive coach. And oh, by the way, people want an offensive coach that can call plays. That way, if you lose your offensive coordinator, you still have your play caller. Oh, by the way, they also want an offensive coach who is going to help you find a franchise quarterback that can be as big part of the offense as the coordinator and as the head coach. And guess what? The Bengals check all 3 of those boxes. Is it objectively not perfect? No. I 100% agree. And we've had this argument, Ray, for 2 years about Zach Taylor. But this, honestly, is the first year.
Still saying
Given, we've talked about the first few weeks, we beat it over the head for 45 minutes out of our podcast about next offseason, something has to change going into the year so we don't start out in the hole. That discussion is so ingrained in this, we don't need to have it anymore. And objectively, that falls on Zach's shoulders.
Who just said it
But
in the post game?
If you
just
fire
said
Zach
those
right
words
now, the
almost
Bengals
in the
are not a
fucking
better
post-game
team.
interview, bro.
He said what?
He literally said those same words again in the post-game interview, man.
That's because he knows he'll be on the hot seat if we start slow again next year.
100%.
You know, we're in a hole, I think is what he said. We're in a hole. You know, and I believe, you know, we can dig ourselves out, you know, and we'll figure out, you know, a way to do it in a sense, you know. But again, like, you're not that good of a head coach, bro, or a play caller at the end of the day. If consistently you have a great roster on both sides of the ball with good
Sorry,
players,
Gage.
in a sense,
Sorry,
but
Gage.
you're
It's
consistently
not true,
losing.
buddy.
If you're joining us right now, we have 44 people across all 3 platforms watching. Make
I
sure
have
you
to
jump in
disagree with
chat
Gage there.
and join in
Sorry.
the convo. That way you get entered in
This-
the free giveaway tonight. So Gage just got his entry. Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
I was just saying I got to disagree with Gage because our defense, there's nothing solid to it. We have one top-notch player on this defense. That's it. And today's football, you got to have elite players at all 3 levels of the defense, and we ain't got it. We ain't got it.
So I guess I just fundamentally disagree with you, man.
All right. Well, you can fundamentally do what you want, but
I
the
think
numbers don't lie.
I think at the end of the day, this team,
I
what
mean,
it
it's
really
just
needs
poor
is
team
some
play, bro.
life.
It's poor
It
team
is.
play.
Overall,
Yeah.
Burrow said it best. Not one
I get
unit on this team played well enough to win Sunday.
They did.
And honestly,
What?
go ahead, Ray.
man.
Go ahead. No,
I
go
was
ahead,
just trying
Ray.
to say what pisses me off the most about Zach, man, is that, like I said, he consistently puts this team in this position, time and time again for the past 2 years. We've been in this position. Like, I don't understand. Like, why do we always have to dig ourselves out of a hole?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why do we always have to dig it? And you could say, well, it's the players not making the plays in the moment they need to make them, like he said before.
Clearly, there needs to be a philosophy change.
Hindsight's an MFer, because at the end of the day, you know, as bad as that quarterback wants that throw back, that coach wants that play call back. I've been there. And when you're in the game, everything's fast, everything's real live. You know what I mean? Like, you know, again, certain instincts take over. But if that's your game plan, that's my fucking problem, bro. If that's your game plan, to telegraph anything we do on a 3rd and short, whether it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, or 3rd and 3, you're going to lose that consistently time and time again. And there lies the problem. This is why we're 3-5 right now. It's not so much our defense is just trash, because again, yeah, and they have flashes of good moments, the same as our
against
offense
bad
does.
teams.
But at the end of the day, both sides are very inconsistent. And you can blame it on the coaches, you can blame it on the players. But at the end of the day, it's a team fail. Until the team as a whole, the coaches and the players, come together and believe in each other, dude, boys, I mean, this is it, you know? I mean, to win the
You
next
are
7
what your
of 9
record says you are.
isn't realistic playing the way we're playing.
You are
right
what
now.
your record says you are.
You know?
And honestly, I agree with everything you're saying, Ray. I really do. And I think when you look at this team, like, you know, as an overall, this year is really the first year, in my opinion, that the early season struggles, in my opinion, are worrisome. Because Joe Burrow's entire career, he never had an off season. And I'm telling you, that matters so fucking much.
Well, it does, but he's having one of his best years.
And I agree with that. But that's what makes this such an anomaly, especially the first few weeks. But again, the first few weeks, the Bengals really were historically bad. They've honestly come back from that. I think right now they're 19th against the pass, 25th against the run, which by no means are those good stats. But the first 3 weeks, they were like 30th against the pass and 32nd against the run. You know what I mean?
Dude, they had 2 games against
Gage
2 bad offenses.
Solid D-line, good linebackers, and decent DBs, just no more morale there. See, I think
Sam Hubbard's got to go.
I think the culture's there. I think that the play calling can be there because Lou has proven it. But the difference is they're, for some reason, I don't know if it's they don't trust how many young guys they're playing, which, by the way, this team has been consistently playing 12 rookies.
Yeah, it's 12. The 3rd youngest team in football.
A vast majority of the other guys are all 2nd and 3rd year players. And defense in the NFL in today's age is very hard. But Lou has been uncharacteristically conservative this year. I think one game, the Giants, that they pressure more than they actually set back and played base defense. I mean, we've seen
so again,
the whole league's
you
playing
said
cover
conservative,
2.
And you also, Real Red, sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but you also said about Zach, you know, both sides of the ball have been real conservative. It's just flat, bro. It's just flat. Like I said, they're missing
What is flat
creativity.
when you're conservative?
there's been no creativity. It's just flat. You know what I mean?
But again, I disagree there because the offense has been showing more versatile looks this year than they've shown ever before.
Right, and what does the defense show?
But Zach,
what is the defense show?
Coached conservative.
Can't tackle, can't get pass rush,
not a game
get smoked
without
deep.
the defense coming off with either a pick or a goal line stand.
I'm telling you, this defense is the biggest problem with this team right now. I don't care what anybody says. They cannot get solid.
That's very something. Go ahead, Bob.
They're right. They don't play with enough intensity. That's because we don't have good enough players in certain positions on the defense. And I'm telling you, I've never seen a Bengals team miss as many tackles as we've seen the past 2 years under Lou Anarumo. The missed tackling is a joke. The not knowing where you're at on the field is a joke. This defense is, I'm telling you, it's historically bad. It's really bad. And I know people like Lou Anarumo, but I don't see the shit changing, especially since the people in the front office aren't going to do anything to make anything better.
Honestly, I think that's a big piece of this puzzle that most fans have been beating themselves over the head this week. Because let's be honest here, coming into this week, we were all feeling pretty good. I don't care what anybody says. The Bengals had won 3 or 4 games, feel like they had salvaged the season. And if the Bengals won on Sunday, whether it was by 1 point or 100 points, everyone would have been still happy-go-lucky going on. Nothing would be this way. But you lose a game, which, by the way, is to an NFC team, when the next 3 weeks we play AFC opponents. So if there's a game to lose the next 4 weeks, which I said last week, you really needed to go 1-1 this game and against the Raiders, because then you would hopefully be able to beat Baltimore in Baltimore, which is going to be a tough fucking game. And then you play the Chargers before the bye. So if the next 4 weeks this is their worst game, then I'm glad it was against the Eagles. But objectively, we can sit here and yell at each other over everything with the team and the coaching staffs. We need to hold Duke Tobin to the same account. Because in my opinion, how Zach has failed, how this team is fundamentally failing is, guess what? We've done 2 things not so good the past 2 or 3 years. Drafted and developed players. I mean, that's just the truth. They've literally not drafted well, and despite if some players were improving, like Dax Hill, who got hurt, or if DJ Turner's been improving, or Chris Jenkins is coming along nicely, or Miles Murphy's coming along nicely, they're not impact players. Not right now. And that's where it's like, that's what's frustrating about the lack of free agency moves, is because a 6th round pick for someone like Uche, you ain't going to find a 6th round player, guy who's 21 years old, who's better than a veteran player. You're just not.
This team right now should be going out and finding another. Right. They should be going out right now this week and getting a pass rusher for that left opposite of Trey Hendrickson before the Baltimore game. Because otherwise you're going to see Sam Hubbard looking like a damn fool in the field again, or whoever else, because you're only getting pressure from one side. I mean, they should be on the phone right now. And I think while you're at it, go ahead and call Tennessee, since they're trash, and say, hey, what do we got to give you to bring Tyler Boyd back to Cincinnati?
I mean, I hear you, but at the same time, man, I'm still trying to comprehend when you talk about Sam the way you talk about Sam. Understand that Sam has a lot more responsibilities than Trey does. Sam drops back in the pass coverage, right? Sam also is a spy on the quarterback. So generally, when you see Sam just playing patty cake with an offensive, end, I mean, he's spying. If he's not doing that, he's dropping back and playing into a zone or into a bubble. He rarely ever rushes on that side unless they're blitzing that side and they're trying to overload that side. That's when Sam comes. So again, man, you can sit there and I can Sam's no pass.
Dude, Sam is one of the worst pass rushers
he's got a
in
lot
the
of
game right now, Ray.
Sam handles them pretty fucking well.
How many times have you seen him drop back this year in coverage? How many times have you seen him be a spy? Because I sure as hell haven't, dude. He's been trying to pass rush. His main game is he's a run stopper, right? You're not, because Reggie just brought it up earlier about the way Trey rushes his passer. Yeah, he may take him down the field, but he cuts off that side. Guess what? Sam Hubbard can't do that no more. He can't cut off that side. Quarterbacks are escaping to his side easily and making him look stupid. He gets no pass rush practically at all. You don't hear his name called for games on end, dude. I like Sam Hubbard. He's been a big fan favorite. He's been a part of this team. But guess what? One of the problems also the Bengals have is keeping guys too long, and Sam Hubbard has been here too long. You need at least
I
a
fundamentally
average.
disagree with you.
If you just had an average, a little better than average pass rusher on that side, it would help the secondary out so much, Ray. Because that's how you make up for the deficiency of the secondary, dude. We have one top-notch player on defense right now, and that's it, dude.
Go ahead, Ray.
No, it's all good, bro.
No,
I don't know what you don't understand, dude. We need another pass rusher, period.
You don't understand. It's not a defensive end's responsibility to keep outside containment, bro. So when you see Jalen Hurts out,
okay, Coach Ray.
Bob needs a commercial
that's a
break.
defensive end.
Oh my God, dude! What are you talking about?
Here's the thing.
I'm trying to figure out what the fuck you're talking about.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Honestly, I think
you don't know what you're talking about.
There can be more pass rush help.
Okay.
But I do disagree. I don't think Sam is past his prime in Cincinnati. I think Sam is a fundamental piece of this defense still. And I think Sam
put him in the rotation inside.
Well, yes.
Well,
but he has been good against the run.
Development, right? And developing players. That's what Cincinnati's developed Sam Hubbard into, bro. Those are his responsibilities as a defensive end. It's not like Trey Henderson's where it's just go, bro. Just go. Go eat. That's not Sam.
If you think that's all Trey does, then I know you ain't been watching games.
Honestly, I think Sam is in a similar spot, but honestly, he's still better. He's in a similar spot to Carlos was in the last few years of his career. And the reason why Carlos left early was because Carlos refused to not be a 3-down edge player. But Carlos had fallen off a cliff in rushing the passer. And I agree with you, Bob. Sam is leaning in that direction as a pass rusher.
He's already there.
But I disagree. He's still, when he's playing well, he's built to play in this division and stop the run. There's been a few years where he was top 5 against the run among all edge players. Sam has been a fundamental piece.
And guess what? This defense is allowing 140 yards plus a game rushing. So tell me how good he's doing that job.
I agree. They're 25th against the run, which is why you gotta started giving myself a Popeye mustache there. Which is one of the reasons why some of those hard decisions have to be made. Zach has to sit down with Lou and be a head coach and say, bro, you got to make some hard decisions. And then Lou has to sit down and say, Sam, we love you and you're the Cincinnati kid, but there's going to be some third downs where we got to bring guys in to rush the passer. And they have done that, to their credit, a little bit. What they've been doing, to Ray's point, they've been running a 5 front, but they're actually running a 4-4 or a 4-3, depending on if they're in nickel defense. And Sam has been lined up on the edge and then is like sort of pseudo covering the tight end, which is what I believe he was doing on the deep ball to Smith in the Eagles game this past week when he couldn't get off the tight end. He sort of got baited on the run, and once he lost that momentum, he was fighting. Now, the difference is there was a Sam Hubbard at one point in his career who gets off that tight end block. I 100% agree.
Right.
But at the same time, he still was doing what he needed to try to do to have contain, stay outside, which Trey did at overabundance. Trey ran 15 yards up the field to make sure to force Jalen back to the center, and Sam didn't accomplish that, So both things can be true. They can go get some pass rush help, and they can make a tough decision to sit down and say, Sam, we want you to be a 2-down player. You're smart. You know the scheme. You're everything we've built to be. But right now, in key passing situations, we need somebody who's going to come in and they can bring it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, the Bengals are going to do that.
Higgins?
So before we move on to the Raiders game, I just want to say, I think it was someone in the comments brought up T. I can't remember who that was. I think it was Robert on Facebook. I do think they missed T this game. But I'm going to say an unpopular opinion right now. We just had an uptick. We got about 60-ish people watching across all 3 platforms. If you're joining us right now, thank you. We're live every Tuesday at 8:30. Make sure you come and join us. Join the convo tonight. Right now, if you join the conversation on any of the platforms, you're entered to win a hat and shirt, which we're going to give away at the end of the night. I'm about to say something that's going to make me real unpopular with a lot of Bengals fans and a lot of these people watching, so maybe the chat's about to pop off. Because this is the exact reason why T is not getting paid in Cincinnati. And why I think you can make an argument he's not even going to be in the $25 million a year, which I think he should be if he goes to another team. Because T, I deep dive into the T stats. You know, T. Higgins in his NFL career has never played a full season.
Nope.
Did you know that only twice has he played actually 16 or more games? Which there's 2 seasons he's missed just 1 game. He's missed 13 games, right? And that's not including the 3 of the 8 games this year. So think of that for a second. T has been the best ability, the old adage is availability. And T has been, in my opinion, a number 1 receiver as a number 2 receiver on our team. And T is one of the players in the past 4 years that they've actually hit on and developed well, which the offense has done a better job than the defense, minus offensive linemen, but I digress. That's an entire another argument. The offense and Zach and Duke have done well with offensive players for the most part. T included in that. But T has more fucking soft tissue injuries than any player I've ever seen or known. I swear. It's unbelievable how this dude, he gets non-contact soft tissue injuries in practice at a rate that's higher than, I don't know what to say. And that is the exact reason why Cincinnati's not paying him. Because, oh, by the way, when you break down the stats for about 82-ish% of his snaps as a Bengals receiver, he's lined up on the same side or the opposite side as Jamar Chase. And in 3 of those years, Tyler Boyd, arguably the best slot receiver in football. So, in my opinion, just as Chase benefits from T, well, you got to be fair. T benefits a hell of a lot from having Jamar Chase on the field. And then you take into account that this dude misses games at a regular rate. We've held Burrow accountable for his injuries. I don't get why Bengals fans don't hold T against him. I just don't get it. And to me, that is the biggest factor why you shouldn't pay him, especially not when receivers are coming out of college at an all-time rate. Receivers the position is as good as it's been ever right now.
You just have to hit on them. Come on. You just got to hit on them.
And we may have hit on Yoshi. We don't know. We may have hit on Jermaine Burton, which another conversation. In this year's draft, they better draft D linemen, corners, and O linemen, and that's it. I don't want to see receivers. I don't want to see tight ends. I want to see maybe a safety. But you draft D linemen, edge players, O linemen, and corners.
They may have to get a receiver in free agency in the offseason, because I'm telling you, a big part of the reason why this offense disappears is because you don't have anybody at the number 3 spot.
Offense
and when T. Higgins isn't there, they can't.
Possession.
But when shit breaks down,
the offense
you can't always have Chase to go to.
The offense is not what's holding
but we also got no damn running. If we could even have just a dependable running game that we know can get us a yard when we need it, and we don't even have that.
Joe on Facebook said, "Can pay someone to not play." That's pretty much what they're doing. Gage said, Robert said, nobody wants to see you guys arguing about the Bengals. You guys are a perfect example of typical Bengals fans. Nobody agrees. And that's true. I would argue that if you watch any team around the league and you go look at their fan base on social media,
it's the same way.
That's what the 3 things they say. I see Chiefs fans talking about Andy Reid's play calling, about how Patrick Mahomes for a stretch has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. Now, given they're an anomaly because they've won back-to-back Super Bowls, but Gage said, agreed, T is always suffering with a hamstring injury.
It's always something.
But, no,
That's why you need to be giving Burton a lot more snaps, because guess what? Next year, you're only going to have Chase. Right now, no one's proven to step up as a number 3 wide receiver, and you're going to need a number 2 and a number 3 come next year when you lose T.
My argument, I guess, the reason for all that in the back of my head from a football perspective I think about is some teams don't have 1 receiver. And we got 2, if you include T. Higgins. So the fact that
guess what?
Team back as a 3rd receiver is, in my opinion, I watched Joe Goodberry's breakdown. I've watched a bunch of breakdowns, and you're not alone, Bob. You're not. A lot of people feel that way. But I step back and I say to myself, some teams barely have 1 receiver. We have an all-pro receiver and someone who most people consider is going to be a number 1 on other teams. But again, the offense has been solid. They go away for stretches, but a lot of offense football.
All the teams that are Super Bowl contenders, they have more than 1 good receiver. Look what the Ravens just went and did. Called up Carolina, got Deontay Johnson to go with Flowers and everything they already have. The Chiefs, picked up a big wide receiver, another pass rusher. The Bills pick up another wide receiver. I mean, like, that's what pisses me off is, you say you want to win a championship, but we ain't done shit really in 2 years since the Super Bowl run to try to make that happen. We just haven't.
Yeah. I think they're going to start getting Burton more reps. I think
he needs it because Yoshi hasn't shown that he can be that reliable now.
Ray, what's your thoughts on this past Sunday before we move on to the Raiders? I could see the ticker ticking. You look good, by the way, on your phone. A lot less choppy than on your laptop.
I don't know what's up with my laptop, man.
I told you got to stay away from all that pornography, son. It'll really damage that thing.
Yeah, it ain't no pornography, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I agree to an extent. I mean, I don't honestly think T. Higgins is going to be here after the season.
No, he's gone.
If we can make a blockbuster trade now and get something that we absolutely are in dire straits of, then absolutely we should go ahead and pull that trigger now. I mean,
yeah.
I think if we lose to the Raiders, that's what we have to do. I think if we lose to the Raiders, then you might as well try to sell him off. Because otherwise he's going to walk at the end of the year on a year that, we were supposed to run it back. This is supposed to be our Super Bowl window year. Let's run it back with the same crew. Let's go get one. And look how that's fucking worked out.
Eastside
laptop, bro.
It's actually a pretty nice laptop.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what the
right now. We've only got 7 entries for the shirt and hat. So if you're watching across all 3 platforms, your odds of winning right now, make sure you jump in join the conversation. I know the guys have been commenting all night aren't happy.
Your odds of winning a shirt are better than our odds of even making the playoffs. So. Dum, 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 dum.
Bum, bum. All right, week 9, Bengals versus Raiders. We all
the Raiders.
Big Raiders fan, Chris Barnes. Shout out, Chris, if you're watching this.
Shout out, Barnes.
He's currently cooking at the Legion tonight, barbecue. I was talking with him earlier. He said he's going to check us out this week, so we got to make sure we slander the Raiders pretty hard. Chris, if you're watching this in days to come, I regret nothing. All right. No, I'm just kidding. Ray, why don't you kick us off? Bengals and Raiders, 1 p.m. Sunday.
Kick us off there.
What's at stake? What are your thoughts? Ray. How you think the matchup's going to go? Save your predictions for.
I don't know, man. I mean, we're both coming off losses. So there's that, I think they did a pretty good job, hanging with the Chiefs. I don't know, man. I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, we only gave up 1 sack at the end of the day. But to think that Joe's probably not going to get sacked once or twice, it's probably going to happen, dude. To think
Max Crosby.
To think that, if we're going to basically get this win, it's going to be an ugly one, boys. This ain't going to be some boat race. This ain't going to be – it might end with Evan McPherson fucking missing a game-winning field goal. You know what I mean? I mean, he's missed the last 3 over 50. He's missed the last 3 over 50, man.
Yeah. He's more like loose change McPherson instead of Money Mac.
He's a Monopoly Money Mac.
Boys.
Loose change McPherson.
Monopoly Money Mac for sure.
He's not a weapon. He's just a regular kicker.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an ugly game.
A grinder?
Not so much of a grinder. I think it's going to be a bad game to watch, boys.
Damn. So you got no hope that things are going to get better.
Not immediately, no.
Yeah.
I mean, this.
Well, they have to immediately, or the season's over.
I mean,
so like, if not then we're cooked, right?
I mean, I told you 2 weeks ago, man. If we took another loss before we got to 500, the season was probably over. And that should happen. So, I'm not going to say there's no hope because mathematically we're not out of it.
Yeah.
But we lose to the Raiders. And we got to go play the Ravens, and then I think the Chargers. I mean it.
Well, normally I save my sentimental heart-to-heart moments for the final segment, and that's when I usually try to bring everybody back down to reality, take a breath, But I'm going to do that right now because I know it feels like the sky is falling. But the Bengals have just won 3 of 4. The defense in the past 3 weeks has had their 3 best games. And I think Sunday was one of their worst games. I do. I get that it was the Giants in Cleveland. I 100% agree, Bob. They're trash, right? But all we have right now is hope. I hate to break it to you, but right
And
now,
there ain't a lot of that.
hope. Now, if this is a must-win, they had finally dug themselves out of a hole by getting back to a game below 500, and it sort of took some of the pressure off. Well, guess what? The pressure's right back on. And it really wasn't off beforehand. To Ray's point, they needed to really get back to 500. But like we talked about last week, really this week, like this past week, the Eagles, and this week, they really needed to go 1-1 after winning back-to-back away games. Because then they were within 500 to play the Ravens, right? Well, guess what? You got your ass handed to you in all phases of the game on Sunday against the Eagles. So you got to go win all phases of the game against the Raiders this week. I agree, Ray. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game, but I don't think it's going to be a pretty game from the standpoint of, they're going to have to win those plays throughout the game that win you the game. The Bengals have tendencies. When the Bengals lose, guess what happens? Usually they don't get a pass rush, and Burrow's rushed all game. And by rushed, I mean the pocket is not clean. I mean he's getting sacked, pressured at a high rate. And the opposite is said. Our defense is pressuring the quarterback, getting sacks, which is taking the stress off of the secondary. This is that type of game. You got to not let Max Crosby beat you, and the Bengals need to get back to scoring north of 30 points. Now, do I think they're going to do that this game? Maybe, because the offense has shown that they can do that. Defensively, you got to go back and play how you played against the Giants in Cleveland and be more aggressive. You got to blitz at a much higher rate. You got to go after the quarterback, bring people, live and die by it. They lived and died by the three-man fronts this past week and a lot during the Ravens. And sometimes it's hit well, sometimes it hasn't. Well, live the opposite life this week. Blitz 60% to 70% of the time. Show the famous Bengals double A gaps. And are they coming or are they not? And, make the Raiders offense beat you instead of letting them take everything that's underneath. Because that's the trend around the entire NFL right now, is play too high, play Tampa 2, and make them go the entire length of the field. Well, the offense can do it. 17 plays, 10 minutes. They've at least shown it. The defense has to show that they consistently win the plays throughout the game that's going to win them the game. And there's going to be some ugly moments, but they got to make the plays throughout the game to win this game. And whoever it needs to be to step up, you got to take it a game at a time, and that's how it has to be. If Jamar Chase has to go off for 150 to win a game, yeah, you don't want it to be that way, but that's what you got to do. Because right now they're 3-5, and you are what your record says you are. So you go out, you win against the Raiders at home, you get your first home win, which we were talking about last week. You got to check that fucking box. Check that box this week against the Raiders, who are in a similar situation to us, and then all eyes are on Baltimore on a primetime game to get back to 500. And that to me, that's the only option to keep the season alive. You can win this game and then go lose in Baltimore and still technically be alive. But if you lose this game, you're going into a primetime game in Baltimore against a team that's already beat you once this year, and you're in a must-win situation to keep the season alive. They don't want to be in that spot. You can't be in that spot.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Can't keep taking money players from the defense and hoping for development. The cardiac cats are going to ramp unexpectedly these coming games. Bob's got faith.
I'm going to tell you what, and all you fans, if we're in a position Sunday at home and the Raiders get up on us by 2 scores late in the game, and this defense is showing its ugly ass head once again, then we're still haven't won at home. Now you've been beat by the Raiders. You're 3-6. The season is essentially over this Sunday if we don't win. I don't care what anybody says. There's no way this team will there's no way they'll win 7 out of 8 games. An
historic run.
It would have to be a fucking. It'd have to be bigger than the Music City Miracle. Like it would have to be, and that ain't going to happen. Not with this defense. I honestly want to say, if we don't establish some type of running game in this game, Max Crosby's going to pin his ears back. He's going to put Burrow under pressure. Our defense, they can't get stops. The Raiders will come into Cincinnati and beat our ass. They will. We better come out and be the more physical team, establish a damn running game. Chase is going to have a big day. I'm not sure yet. Have we heard if Higgins will be playing? He's like day to day or something.
Day to day, yeah.
You know, you can make this game the Burton coming out game. You can make this game the welcome to the NFL, everybody. This is Jermaine Burton. I think you almost got to have that happen too. I mean, it's like, once again, we're going to be in a position where we have to be almost perfect, or we need some special shit to happen, because you can say what you want.
Week 9 prediction.
Say what you want about Gardner Minshew. When he's balling, Minshew can ball. He can make some shit happen, especially big plays, and that's frightening to think about right now.
Historically let obscure quarterbacks have big games.
Right.
The Bengals are usually a get-right game for people. I mean, I hate to be that way, but the Bengals, especially this year. But anyways, let's kick us off with predictions, Bob.
Well, everything I just said, I hope everything that on the positive side happens, and we get our first home win. You know, it's going to be close, probably. We'll say 24-21 Bengals. That's if we establish a running game of any sort and players step up, and the defense has to get at least 2 stops in the game. I mean, isn't that sad that you're hoping that our defense will get at least 2 stops?
I know.
This offense hasn't produced against bad teams this year. And once again, love you, Barnes, but the Raiders are a bad team. So once again, is the offense going to disappear in this game, or are they going to show up like they've showed up for Baltimore, for Washington, for Kansas City? Or are they going to show up like we've showed up for Cleveland, the Giants, New England?
So I don't know, guys. 21's your prediction?
But shit's going to get burnt down if they don't win this Sunday.
24-21's your prediction?
He's like, we turn it into a row around here, brother.
I'll say 24-21.
We burn in the city, bro.
Go ahead, Ray.
I wouldn't burn the city, but it's going to feel like it's burning, goddamn. It's going to feel like it's fucking burning. I'm telling you. Dude, when we lose Sunday at home again, I'm telling you, people are going to be running and screaming bloody murder. You'll see that stadium empty out so quick. No, I mean, it's going to be even heightened.
Yeah.
Because your season to be over. Come on, let's hear it. Come, Trey.
I'm just waiting, bro. I'm just patiently waiting here, bro. I got 13-10 final, boys.
Ooh, you said it wasn't going to be a grinder, dog. That's the definition
no, I just
of
said
a
it's
grinder.
It's going to be a boring ass
game.
Yeah,
13-10's a grinder, son.
It's going to be a boring ass game, bro.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about 13 to 10 points scattered throughout 4 quarters, bro. It's going to be boring as fuck. We're going to go from not punting at all to punting a fucking lot. Watch. 0
You're
punts
hoping
the last
for offensive failure.
0
He's hoping for offensive.
You think our defense is good enough right now to put a showing out like that?
At the end of the day, dude, our defense, even though it's been shit the last 2 years, it's progressively gotten better as the seasons went on consistently the last 2 years.
The whole team has.
To the point where we get to the end of the season and we're one of the best red zone defenses.
The team gets better
the Eagles
throughout the year.
Literally had to run the
I don't see that happening this year.
Like, you understand that. The Eagles had to literally run the tush push twice to get in the end zone. When 9 times out of 10, any other team in the National Football League, they line up on the 1, they're in on the first try. It took them 2 tries. And then the fucking announcers are going to circle BJ Hill's elbow like, here's the ball. Like, again, he barely got in the second time. So, that's where
he had 4 touchdowns, dude.
That's where I got that.
If the Bengals defense holds them to 10 points, this is going to be a blowout. Because if the Bengals defense holds them to 10 points, and I hope they do, because the Bengals have yet to have a game where the offense and defense have both played well. And that's honestly how I'm leaning towards this game. I think they were starting to sort of feel themselves a little bit, winning 3 of 4, and then you go in and get humbled again at home in front of the home crowd, and everybody's literally wanting everybody's heads. I won't be surprised if this is the game where both offense and defense play well.
I think I'd trade the humbled out for embarrassed.
I hope you're right, Reggie.
If the defense holds them at 10 points, this will be a blowout. I think this game is going to be 31-21. I think that The offense is going to play like their hair's on fire because guess what? It's been a roller coaster. We had a game where
21.
Yep, we had a game where neither offense or defense played well. Then we had a 3-game stretch where the offense played well, defense played bad. Then we've had a 3-game stretch where the defense has played well, even though they were bad teams, and the Giants and Cleveland, but the offense played bad. And then this week we had another game where both played bad, except for the offense didn't play that bad. They just didn't make the plays they needed to play.
It gets demoralizing when another team just goes right.
The Bengals are going to be so motivated that not only do I think they better go out and play well offensively. They better. And I think the defense is got a chip on their shoulder right now because I imagine Trey Hendrickson and BJ Hill and Sheldon Rankins and Sam Hubbard and Joseph Asai and everybody in the room in the 7-man rotation is in there grinding their teeth that they had 3 fucking pressures on Sunday against the Eagles. Not sacks, 3 pressures. So I hope the defense plays.
And I bet 2 of those were Trey Hendrickson.
I think the Bengals win this by double
digits. Say about your boy Sam Hubbard, right?
I think the Bengals win by double digits. Maybe that's 24-14, and the defense does show up. Maybe that's, 27.
Nah, you already said 31-21, bro.
I'm here for it, dude. I stand behind it. I'm just saying, I think it's a double
digit win. For the party. Yeah.
Bob said, I'm going
31-10.
Damn blowout.
I like that.
Can't keep taking money players from defense and hoping for. I think we saw that one. Gage said Raiders average 18 points per game, so it shouldn't be a hard game for Lou.
Shouldn't be, but neither should have the Giants game, Cleveland game,
all right,
Carolina game.
Toxic talk this week.
Fucking cheap game.
Toxic talk with Bengal Bob here tonight.
So we had something special this week. I had something special planned. For those of you watching right now, I got on Pat McAfee show this week for Overreaction Monday. I had that clip ready, could not get it to work with StreamYard for some reason. And if you want to see that tweet, go to the Real Reg on X, and on there on Monday morning I tweeted about how I was feeling. I was overreacting just like everybody Monday morning. They do a segment every Monday. I never do it, but I did it, and I wanted to get on the show, so I was extra toxic. Okay, so there's your toxic talk for the week, and it wasn't about anybody else other than myself.
Just self-harm.
Which is not good, nor should you joke about that.
No.
So there's your toxic talk for the week. Guess what? Another edition of Cincy's Finest Fives. This week, defensive ends, edge players. Interior D line.
Real fast on the toxic bullshit, bro.
Oh yeah, you guys got anything toxic from this week? Did you guys get on anything that 100,000?
The only thing toxic, is this guy I know named Chongo who came on our podcast last week and said Eagles by 20, and then of course they end up beating us by 20.
Chongo, if you're watching, make sure you jump in the convo so that way you get entered in the free hat shirt giveaway.
It's pretty toxic if you ask me.
Fuck you, man. I'm just kidding. Hopefully we don't get banned for that. We got banned episode 4. Our live episode did because we, got too real for the people on Facebook.
Well, I'm going to get personal. I'm going to put this loss on family. Having a baby shower on a Sunday. Then the nephew shows up in an Eagles jersey. Like, come on, people. This is not what we're about here, family.
Yeah, it makes my.
I'm just kidding. I'm nephew.
Not kidding.
Getting ready to have a baby.
Not mad. I'm disappointed.
Disappointed as hell. And you don't schedule a baby shower during the Bengals game.
Since he's Finest Five. Right now,
but it's all good. I love you.
Man. Oh.
Just a little toxic, but the Eagles are superior.
But
bro, the Eagles won't get past Detroit.
If you're joining us right now, we're sitting a little over 50 people across all 3 platforms. Thanks for tuning in with us tonight. We're live every Tuesday night at 8:30.
35.
We do a segment we call Cincy's Finest 5, and then we go through our 5 favorite or best or whatever, however each individual views their criteria of their list in Bengals history. Last week we did corners, I believe. This week is defensive ends. Next week we're staying with defense. We're going interior D linemen. So these lists are each of our opinion based on stats, based on fan favorites. It's a combination. Make sure you jump in the chats and give us your 5 or, any thoughts you got on our list. Are they trash?
Are they trash?
Gay said, A, Philly on top. Bob said, Any Given Sunday. That's one of the best football movies there is. I'm not sure if he was referencing the movie.
I did a minute ago.
So who wants to go first tonight? I think I went first last week.
I'll go.
All right, Bob's.
Put them up on there, producer.
There it is. Oh wait, I didn't. You know what? Let me change this. Hold on. Did anybody notice the error? If anybody noticed the error, I will. There was something wrong with that.
Error.
I fixed it. There we go.
Boom.
Go ahead, Bob. Take us through it.
Been a fan a long time. Used to love John Copeland and his presence on the field. Robert Gathers, same thing. Both those guys were around the same time in the same era of football. Michael Johnson, he came a little after, but great presence, great locker room guy, really good at rushing the passer. Carlos Dunlap, obviously, I hate the way his career ended with us. His dad got all whiny. He got whiny. That sucked because he really had a great career and possibly could have been on his way to a Hall of Fame career if things would have worked out differently. And then number one, Justin Smith. He was one of my favorite all-time pass rushers of the Bengals. And it's not just because we share the same birthday, but big strong guy up there.
I definitely see your approach. This was much more of a fan favorite type list.
Yeah, this was all just guys I've enjoyed watching through the years. Trey Henderson's not on there, I know, but give him another season or two if he stays and don't demand a trade. He'd obviously be on that list.
Ray, you want to go or you want me to go? That's a good list, Bobby. I like that, man.
Yes, it's a good list, man. I can dig it, bro. Go ahead, Reggie.
I looked at mine more from I lean towards the statistic side, but also sort of fan favorite. Only because every week I try to view each list like sort of objectively. I try not to look at it as a fan and look at it the numbers, and then I make the decisions based on me as a fan. So that's how I approach most of these lists. But edge and defensive end is different, in my opinion, in slight ways. Because DN and edge has changed so much over the years. It used to be you had a traditional right end and left end. And depending on what base defense you were, you typically still had a left end and right end, whether it was a 3 front, a 4 front, a 5 front. Nowadays, there's a lot of outside linebackers who play the edge that aren't defensive ends. For example, TJ Watt, one of the best defensive players in football, is widely considered a linebacker, not an edge player.
Micah Parsons.
He's an edge player, yeah. Exactly. But for me, for the Bengals, I looked at pure ends. So, and then I went through the numbers, and then I picked my list. I think Justin Smith, he's around top 6 or 7 in sacks, was probably one of the most high motor players they've ever had. Justin was a beast. Some of my earliest football days of actually impactful defensive players is Justin Smith. Remembering him as and actually like conscientious of football. You know what I mean? Justin is up there. And then you look at guys like Ross Browner and yes, Trey Hendrickson. Guys who, I think Ross played 6 seasons with the Bengals. Trey's played 4. Now, I know some of you out there saying this is the all-time list and you have Trey Hendrickson on it. I'm going to finish my list, then I'm going to blow your mind with some statistics. But then you look at Eddie Edwards and Carlos Dunlap, the 2 all-time sack leaders of actual career Bengals. Okay? And for some of the old school people out there, Coy Bacon only played for Bengals for 2 years. Coy Bacon, which, like I said, I'll run through the numbers. His numbers were insane. But Carlos at number 1, getting the edge over Eddie, they both, Carlos played 155 games and had 82.5 sacks. Eddie played 170 games and had 84.5 sacks. So Carlos had only 2 less sacks than Eddie and played almost a full season less with the Bengals. So for me, that's what gave him the edge over Eddie Edwards. But for comparison, right? Carlos, 155 games, 82.5 sacks. Trey Hendrickson in 56 games has 46.5 sacks Think about that for a second. He's almost averaging a sack per game, and he's already been with the Bengals for 4 years. For comparison, Michael Johnson played 141 games and had 40.5 sacks. Trey has 46.5 sacks and 56 games.
He's elite.
That doesn't even seem real. That's how insane that is. Justin Smith, 111 games, 43.5 sacks. Ross played 127 games, had 61.5 sacks. And then I read off Carlos and Eddie. But yeah, I think Carlos and Eddie deserve to be your probably top 2 as career Bengals. My honorable mention would be Coy Bacon, who had 130 career sacks in 14 seasons in the NFL. They weren't tracked until the 81 season by the NFL, but they were tracked by a lot of other sources, including the franchises. In his 2 years at the Bengals, his first year in 1976, he had 22 sack season, which would be comparable to the all-time single-season sack record. Some people had him at 21.5. Some people had him at 22. Again, sacks weren't credited then as official stat, but this man had 130.5 sacks in 14 years. And he was, he's one of the reasons why they started tracking sacks is Coy Bacon. So there's your fun fact tonight. Ray, you ready?
Yeah, go for it, bro. I mean, again, a lot of similarities there between, I think, all 3 of our list, I mean, obviously I don't have Justin Smith on there, boys. I mean, I definitely agree. I had him around 6th or 7th, but Robert Gathers, man, I mean, obviously that's a fan, I mean, it wasn't like he was way up there on the numbers or any of that shit, but I mean, like Bingo Bob said about Michael Johnson, man, and I mean, dude, obviously I didn't really watch Ross Browner or Eddie Edwards, a little bit before my time, but when you pull up their years they played and the stats they produced, I mean, they were hell of a Bengals, They were some badass Bengals.
Impactful of their years.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Ross Browner actually had like 18 interceptions or something like that, which is pretty close to still an NFL record to the day. It's been beaten, but still crazy to think, you know what I mean? But I mean, there ain't much I could say, man, that you guys haven't already said about the guys on my list. I mean, like I said, take Ross Browner out and Eddie Edwards. I kind of feel like statistically, that's where the top 3 should be at in that order. Then 4 and 5 is kind of more, fan type picks. And honorable, obviously, man, and James Francis, was another one I remember watching. I kind of wanted to put him in there, and in the few years Antoine Odom did play for us, man, he produced good numbers too. I was going to give him another honorable mention on him too, but
yeah,
that's it, boys. You know me, I'm an offensive guy, man, so I don't really get into defensive shit as much, but there you have it, boys. There's my top 5 best defensive ends. Again, defensive ends, not so much edges,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Alrighty, well, before we wrap this up, I think, we got some final thoughts to get through, but I think it's time for the giveaway. So if you're on, I think right now we're sitting at about 39 people across all 3 platforms. If you haven't jumped in the conversation at least once tonight to get your name in the entry, you can do that right now. I'll give you a minute or 2. I know the people that have been here waiting around are probably pissed that I'm doing that. But there's not that many entries. So everybody's got a good chance of winning. We're going to do a Bengal Brothers shirt and a Bengal Brothers hat. So how this will work is I've been putting these in a random generator as people have commented tonight. And I'm going to hit the generate button. It's going to spit one name at me. And there's no however many times you commented isn't how many entries you have. Just, you joined the conversation. Your name got put in the hat, essentially. Yeah. Any final thoughts, boys, before we do the giveaway?
Gotta win. You win, you live to fight another day. You lose, the season's all but over.
Well said, Rocky. He's like, if he dies, he dies. Yeah, I don't know, man. Just gotta, I mean, regardless, I'm gonna be watching, I mean, the Super Bowl window is always open as long as we have a healthy Joe Burrow. So
I would say the sky is not falling. we've talked about if you're watching right now and you've joined us through most of this season and you listened when we were audio only last season. I mean, being a fan of this team for our entire lives it's like this most years, and we've had a lot worse times than this. And I think part of the reason why fans get so upset, in my opinion, is our expectations have went up. I think we've talked a lot about how the expectations for this year were as high as they've ever been, probably our whole lives.
Yeah.
But maybe we were off on how talented this team actually is, or how
Yeah,
good or
big
bad the
time.
coaching staff is, or how good or bad front office is. They've made some change over the past 4 or 5 years, and then in some ways they're still the same old Bengals.
They've ran it back since the Super Bowl, and it's not good enough. You got to evolve. You got to keep adding talent, and we have not done that.
I think that everything they want to accomplish is still ahead of them. And I think that starts this week with, one of the things I did like that Zach said during the presser this week, is there's some things that bothered me, was, you win this week, it changes the mindset coming into the next week, and it's about stacking wins, stacking good practices, good days, good weeks, and then the weeks roll by. This is already week 8. We're going into week 9 of the NFL season, and this just started. So,
down in a hole.
That's it. All righty.
Stupid me thought we'd be 7-1
click
right
the generate button. For those that have been sticking around, thank you. We're live every Tuesday night at 8:30. First giveaway this season, we're going to do a few more this year, it's generating. And I'll have it worked out where I'm going to show this on screen. I had technical difficulties tonight. I could not get the video clip from the Pat McAfee show with me being on there on. I couldn't do any of it. The winner tonight is Gage 1233400 GGA. Gage, shirt and hat.
No, unfortunately, he was wearing Eagle stuff. He's disqualified.
That is a very good point.
I'm just kidding.
Gage has been a supporter. No, he's not. Gage, make sure you message me your full address, zip code, social security number, and any credit card information your parents have. In Messenger, please. And also with your social security number, date of birth, social security number. Yeah, DL above. No, seriously, I'll get your size, hat, shirt. Hat's a one size fits all. Sorry, bud.
Well, this is a big week, guys. This is a big week. It's a must win. Hopefully it makes for an exciting game, and hopefully we come out victorious. If not, I don't know what to say.
Bengal Bob will be even more toxic next week.
You better get rid of T. Higgins.
I don't know if
you
you guys
better make some
noticed, Bob's glasses have gotten bigger every week. They started out as those super thin, natural killer glasses.
But
every week they've gotten bigger and bigger. Next week they're going to be like the Bumblebee glasses.
He's coming in like a Terminator.
But here's what I think: if we do win, then you ain't been hitting on draft picks. Let's go out and get a pass rusher. Hell, let's go out and if you get a deal on a corner, bring in some depth there. Someone who could be a playmaker. Hell, call Tennessee. Bring Tyler Boyd back. Do something. I don't care what you do. Just do something to make this team better, like all the contenders around us are doing.
Honestly, bro, I don't think we need to
City deserves that. So
I just don't think we need to build that, man. I think we have good players.
I don't think we have all the pieces in the building there, bud.
No, I think we do. The puzzle's just not put together right.
Okay. I don't know what puzzle pieces you're looking at, but
I don't know
whatever you say.
You're looking at, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. No pass rush. Corners get burnt.
And you literally dog trash, shit talk individuals over and over.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Some of these dudes are like 21, 22 years old and are still developing and all that shit.
You're not mad over what I say about rookies.
You know?
You're mad over what I said about Sam Hubbard, and it's too bad. Truth hurts. Sorry. It's too bad.
That's your truth. That's not actual truth, though. That's your truth. You understand?
No, it's the numbers showing you what the truth is. The play on the field showing you what the you can say what you want. You can say what you want, but I bet Sam Hubbard doesn't on a limited role.
I thought you were going to bring up the Dax Hill lore. I
was literally getting there.
I thought that's where Bobby was going with that. All right. It's been a good episode tonight.
You're fucking crazy, dog.
It's been a good one.
Thanks for everybody joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go.
Yeah. If you're watching this in the days to come, we appreciate it as well. make sure you tune in next Tuesday at 8:30 with us and join the conversation. And maybe you too can be a part of Toxic Talk.
And better be a victory Tuesday next fucking week. That's for sure.
Let's go get a win.
All right, guys.
Usual,
have a good night. Who day?
Who day, brothers.